what's going on, AJ?
107 days, baby. And only 8 until pre-orders.
The
Let's
final
go.
countdown.
It's almost like we have a lot of 80s music references this pre-show. Brian was like, he's like, I'm gonna pour some coffee, and I was like, pour some coffee on me in the name of love.
Right. And like, dude, I mean, I don't even remember how old I was when that came out. I'm assuming I was young because I thought it was like fucking badass, and now it's, I don't know what, but like, yeah, but I mean, I was way too young to think that it was anything other than just sugar. Is that code? Is that like, are they like?
I always thought it was probably just code for sex or something.
Oh.
Why would you want to pour sugar on you? Like, who does that?
I mean, I don't know. I just took everything at face value when I was a kid. I didn't understand. I don't know.
But like I said, man, 107 days to go. It's almost as if PSVR 2 is actually real. Can you believe it?
No. There's
Me
no
neither.
There's no way. There's no way. I didn't realize. Yeah, there's no way I'm ever gonna play this thing. It's just not happening. So whatever horrible tragedy is about to ensue, like you guys, you heard it here first. Brian Damas has spoken. Yeah, we're all gonna die, AJ. We're all gonna die. All right,
makes sense.
Let's get this show started. Mancunian Gamecat states the obvious and says, "Is it not code for drugs?" I mean, it's got to be code for drugs, right? Like,
that's what I was thinking.
It's gonna be cocaine or something, right? Like, I don't know. By the time I got into drugs, like they used radically different terminology than they did in the 80s. I have no idea. This is PSVR Gamescast Live, where we talk about all of your favorite things, like sugar, like sex, like 80s music, drugs, and sometimes we even talk about PlayStation VR. My name is Brian Pop, and this channel right here, PSVR Without Parole, and this gentleman over here, far, far south of me, it's AJ from the Underground, PSVR Underground.
What is up, Brian? What is up, Gamecats? Happy Monday, and man, oh man, like I said, we're getting close. Things are happening finally after a long drought. Starting to get news every day. Starting to get new announcements every day that we're going to talk about a bunch of them and some things that haven't been announced. It's great, man. And hopefully we will help make your Mondays suck. Just a little bit less.
I hope so. AJ, because mine started off with a bang. I woke up and it was... and it was 4:45. I said, "Well, I got 15 minutes to get a show together, a thumbnail together, because we have my day's completely backwards. And it drives
for like at least a week or two now, right?
Yeah,
you still haven't gotten out of that, huh?
I was on such a good schedule for so long, so yeah, one of these days, I hate doing it, but you just have to like stay up for like 24 hours straight, and then go to sleep at the correct time, and that's it. Usually that helps, but we'll see. It's not that my sleep schedule matters to anybody out there. I can't imagine that it does. It barely matters to me. So let's move on. AJ, obviously there's a whole lot of things we want to talk about. Before we get the show started, make sure you join Discord. That is where these conversations happen 24/7. The link for that is in the description below. Hopefully somebody out there has a link for Mowvember. We've been trying to do a little push for men's health and awareness. This is what happens when I wake up and try to do a show. And so if one of my mods can please post the link to the Gamecat Mowvember Foundation in the chat, that would be amazing. You guys are awesome. And make sure, of course, if you probably subscribe to Without Parole because you're here, but you might not subscribe to AJ. So make sure you click the link in the description below. And subscribe to our good friends over at PSVR Underground.
Thank you. I know it's been a little quiet over on my channel, but things are happening. I know Patreon users have gotten a couple little sneak previews, but I got stuff coming back to the channel that I'm really, really excited about and can't wait to ramp up to launch, man. Oh, I'm just so excited again. It feels good to be excited about something again.
It does. It does. Dude, I mean, we carried the PlayStation VR1 torch for such a long time, and
Oh.
I'm proud of us, and I'm proud of that we managed to keep everything going for so long. But man,
Proud of you, Gamecats.
yeah, really. I mean, like if it wasn't for the Gamecats, like there was no way we could have done this. Like we show up for work day in, day out, no one's here. We're like,
What are we doing with our lives?
want to order a pizza? Like, what do we do? We just sit here and do nothing. So thank you guys. You've been very, very supportive during all the slow times. And now it's all paid off. We're so close. It's thrilling, says Portal Player. It is thrilling. So excited. So excited. AJ, there's so many people that help this thing run behind the scenes, from everybody from moderators to Sci-Fi Gamecat Henry, who puts timestamps into this thing, to Jay Meow, who gets this thing up on podcast services of your choice. So many people that help out, right? And of course, there's people that help financially. There's people who tip during the show. There's people who support on Patreon. But there's every single Monday, AJ, there's a whole other group of people that we like to thank isn't there.
That is correct, Brian. We would like to thank those who support us in another way by changing their name to something Gamecat, something Gamecat related, or something Gamecat adjacent, as you and something Gamecat adjacent like to say. And this week, we have 4 new Gamecats to welcome to the Gamecat Dojo. Starting with Big Germ, the Gamecat.
Okay, so I got to say, before I pop this up on the screen, I didn't lay this out at all. So these are just going to show up in random places. Bing! Oh, there it is. That's not it. Oh, no. we're off to a bad start. Gamecat Valerie.
As expected. As soon as you started saying something, I was like, oh, this is going to go horribly wrong. And right on cue.
Right on cue. I have no idea.
Gamecat Valor gets another shout out. By the way, so many Gamecat name changes recently. Thank you guys so much, man. It really, really means a lot to pledge your allegiance on YouTube, support the cause. I love going to different YouTube videos, random YouTube videos, and seeing somebody with the name Gamecat or Gamecat adjacent in their name. It's great.
I found him. I did not think I had him, but there he was, an untitled file.
Found you, Big Germ.
Big Germ. He's gigantic. He's this big. this big. All right, who's next, man?
Next, we got one that I'm intrigued by, and I'm really interested in. We've got Gamecat Behemoth.
Bing.
Ooh. What's really cool about this, what I'm hoping this is a nod to our good friends over at Skydance Interactive for their latest and greatest announced game, their next upcoming title in 2023, called Behemoth.
Behemoth. I knew that one. It was a nice softball right over the plate, man.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff, and I'm really interested in that game. I know we only got like a tiny little bit of a teaser, but we did learn that it's a monster hunting VR adventure set in like a brutal Dark Ages era, and it is coming 2023, most likely 99% to PSVR 2. And yeah, I'm really excited to see that one because it sounds awesome, and it's made by Skydance, who have earned my trust. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, if it's anything like Monster Hunter, I'm totally down. We've needed something like that in VR for a while. If it has any elements of Shadow of the Colossus, thank you guys and so much for putting the Mowvember link in the chat. I love you so much. If they did Monster Hunter with like a little touch of Shadow of the Colossus, where you're actually climbing up some of these behemoths, it'd be absolutely amazing. But we'll see what they're up to. Who's number 3, AJ?
Number 3 on the list, but certainly not in our hearts, is Josh Cat.
Bing! Oh, jeez, I told you. It's just all over the place. Here, this one's going on at AJ's face. There we go. It'd be unfair, though, so I'm putting Big Germ back on my face. Here.
Don't touch the beanie.
There we go. Now you can't see us at all. Josh Cat, who's gone through a number of name changes recently, but I think Josh Cat fits in perfectly. It's concise. It's to the point. There's no commas in it. So I love it, man. I love it. And he's got 18 subscribers. Keep it up.
Finally, last but certainly not least, we've got Serial Killer, the Stash in a Flash Game Cat.
Bing!
Rocking that. Of course, like we said, Serial Killer's running our fundraiser for Mowvember. And yeah, make sure you check out the link provided. Support the cause. I like how we don't support anything else but this one, but maybe we need to be better about that. But
Well, and that is definitely that's definitely something that we're trying to be better about here without Parole. You know, it's hard to sometimes it's hard to think about other people when like you're not even able to like take care of yourself. You know, for the last, as we were just talking about, AJ, the last couple of years have been really hard. You know, Patreon support went down, viewership went down, interest in the channel went down completely. And whenever that happens, it's like I take a major pay cut, right? It's like, so it was definitely like, you know, day to day, week to week, that kind of thing. And so with the hope that things are coming back and that people are coming back and that the channel will start ramping up again, it'll be easier for me to look outside of what we're doing here. And Serial Killer is interested in you know, not only doing this for Mowvember, but also seeing what other charitable things we can be doing all year long. So hopefully this is the beginning of many good things here without Parole. So thank you, Serial Killer, for kind of like giving me the push to make that happen. I'm going to get rid of these names on the screen. Somebody bet in the comments that I wasn't going to be able to get rid of them, and now I'm nervous. But if you change your name to GameCat because you love us almost as much as we love you, make sure you put in the comments on any of our video #GameCat once you change your name, so we can give you a shout out on next week's show. AJ, as you mentioned, there is news happening in the world of PSVR for pretty much the first time in a long time, and it is glorious. And one of the things that a lot of people were concerned about, obviously, when was it Hideaki Nishino? Was it an interview with him where he was talking about how there would not be backwards compatibility for PlayStation VR2? So all these people, you know, who have extensive PSVR 1 libraries suddenly feel neglected, feel abandoned by Sony, saying, "Well, wait, we have this huge library of games that, you know, we can't play on our new headset. We're going to have to keep our old headset hooked up, maybe our PlayStation 4, our PlayStation 4 Pro." But despite all of that, it does seem like there's a glimmer of hope. It does seem like developers are out there kind of circumventing this problem and patching their games to be playable on PSVR 2. And the news for those games is just starting to roll in now. We're just starting to get official confirmations on some of these. What's the most recent one we've gotten?
So there's been a couple, and we'll just go in order of kind of when they were announced, I guess. But we've already gotten, like you said, a couple games that have been announced as remasters coming to PlayStation VR 2. They were PSVR 1 games. And the first one I guess we'll cover is Swordsman VR.
Yeah, Swordsman VR is, I mean, I feel like that was the biggest no-brainer of the PSVR 1 library, because Alec and the team over at Sin Studio, the ever-growing team at Sin Studio, has been really, really good about constant updates. I think along with No Man's Sky, Swordsman is probably the most updated PSVR 1 game that we have. There's constantly new weapons, new bosses, new environments, new everything, to the point where I feel like it's a radically different game than it was at launch now. And so I definitely believed from day one that Alec would absolutely have this thing up and running. And they just announced that it'll be a PlayStation VR 2 launch title. However, they seem to be holding back on the news whether it's going to be free or not, which is interesting, right? Because most of the other people who have announced this have said, "Hey, it's going to be free." Do you think it's going to be free, AJ, or do you think this might cost a little bit?
It's an interesting one for sure. You know, we still haven't fully seen what games are going to be free upgrades, what games are going to be some kind of paid deal. I feel like, knowing Sin Studios, I feel like they would, but I also don't want to just assume that, because you never know really what's going on behind the scenes. But to me, what my heart says is absolutely going to be a free upgrade. But they did, our own Hasid Mirza actually tweeted at them and said free upgrade, and they said, "We don't have anything to announce at this time, that we'll get more info later on." So a little bit of a gut punch there for sure, but you know, with some of these other examples coming up, we'll see that we can't always just jump to conclusions.
Right. Especially not without a jump to conclusions, Matt, AJ. You Can't do that without a Matt.
I love it. I love it.
I'll tell you, man, when I saw Office Space, I was like, this is the worst joke ever. And it's but it's stuck in my head. I love Office Space, and that joke has just been stuck in my head for years.
I do too.
Yeah, I would never want to just assume that it's going to happen. I do, but I am assuming that this is going to happen because all the other updates have been free. It's without Swordsman. I don't think Sin Studio would still be here. You know, they had quite a few failures. Wraith, they had the Perfect Sniper, and then Warzone, which was it's weird. I think somehow Warzone, even though it had aim support and it was a first-person shooter, like it had all the ingredients. It was the worst of the bunch because it was just so broken on so many levels that was just going to be it, man. And so yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I mean,
I was going to say.
Swordsman saved them. Actually, Warzone saved them. Everybody bought Warzone. Everybody bought Warzone thinking it was going to be a great first-person shooter, or that it was maybe Call of Duty Warzone or something. And that actually made them a ton of money, so they were able to make Swordsman. So I do think that over there they have all this goodwill towards the PSVR community because they kind of know they released some games that weren't all that great, and now that there's this newfound love for the studio, it feels like they're giving back, right? Saying we're really sorry about Warzone and Wraith and Perfect Sniper. Like some of those were okay for like a couple dollars, but certainly not $15 titles. So it seems like they're giving back, and I think it would only be appropriate if they gave us the PSVR 2 upgrade for free. Rant over.
I think most developers better be ready to face some backlash if there's not a free upgrade, because it's kind of like there's no backwards compatibility, and then there's no free upgrade. It's like you're forcing me to buy it again. It's not a good situation for anyone to do that, really, and they will likely hear about it. But there's two questions usually with these games that are coming, and that I have, and is it going to be a free upgrade? I think the two most frequently asked questions. Is it going to be a free upgrade? And then what kind of updates? We'll be ready. I'm ready to talk about some of these other games, but I am curious to see if this PSVR 2 version of Swordsman will be coming with some huge updates as well. Like another game that was confirmed for PlayStation VR 2, and that is Zenith, The Last City. Of course, we know, a lot of you guys know, we've got the Gamecat Dojo Guild. It is an open world MMO RPG, action RPG, built from the ground up for VR. That was super fun. And they have announced that, it is going to be a free upgrade. But there's something else here that's really, really interesting. Along with this free upgrade, the PSVR 2 version, going to be a launch day title, I believe. They are also doing a massive overhaul on the game. They're redoing the textures. They're doing, I think they said, lighting, just a visual overhaul that's actually going to be stuff like they gave a couple examples, like realistic grass or something, which is great when that game has like a bunch of really big fields and stuff in it. Like, you want that world to feel a little bit more live. But they're also taking this visual overhaul and putting it on the PC side as well. So it's a major visual overhaul, as well as a lot of new content coming to Zenith, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Brian.
Yeah.
Are you going to be jumping back into Zenith?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Because so first of all, I was one of the people who didn't criticize Zenith as much for the amount of content that was in there as some people did. It was a $30 game, and for $30, I mean, like most people spent over 100 hours in there, and considering what we've gotten on PSVR over the last 6 years. And the length of most games are like 4 to 6 hours, and they cost $30 to $40 for the 4 to 6 hours. I think this is an amazing deal. Too many people were comparing it to completed MMOs, like MMOs that have been around for years, saying, "Oh, well, this doesn't have the amount of content that Warcraft has." Of course, it doesn't. Warcraft's been out for fucking 2 decades, right? So I think we're off to a great start with Zenith. There was no way in hell leading up to launch that I thought it was going to be nearly as good as it was, and they fucking delivered on so many levels. This is in my top 10 favorite PSVR games of all time, and but it came out really late in the PSVR life cycle. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't do terribly well. I mean, it did well overall, but on the PSVR side, no idea. So giving it like this other chance in the PSVR ecosystem is going to be awesome. And being there at launch, I think, is super important as well. And you got to figure that this was kind of their idea all along, being like, let's get it out on PSVR, and we're going to be adding content, we're going to be upgrading things and making things better and refining things, and then we'll give this definitive version with more content at launch, PSVR 2. Bam! It's almost like we've been in beta for the last year.
Yeah, there's two things in particular that have my attention as well with this update. There's going to be creature catching. They say catch and collect creatures out in the wild, a whole new immersive way to enjoy the beautiful world of Zenith.
Nice.
And you're also going to be able to start summoning pets. And they say summon a creature as a friendly companion to join you on your quest, and you can pet them too. Think it'll have the haptics when you pet them?
Maybe. I'm actually I love Pokemon. I've never seen the show, but I've played some Pokemon games, never to completion, always dabbled, but I love the concept to the point where when Ni no Kuni came out on PS3, it was one of my favorite games of that generation. Like PlayStation, Ni no Kuni was just a phenomenal game, and so that whole collecting aspect really checks a box in my brain, like a little bit of an OCD box, right, where I'm just like, I gotta catch them all, and so I'm a big fan of that. I think this is going to be a great addition to Zenith.
Yep. Another game that was announced this week. Actually, I'm sorry. This was announced today. Yep. They say, we are proud to announce that the fast-paced co-op shooter After the Fall Complete Edition from Vertigo Games will be a day one title for Sony's PlayStation VR2 on February 22nd. And they've also said, because I know last week when the announcements came, we were kind of like, bashing them a little bit.
Yeah.
But they have actually proved us wrong, and they have confirmed that After the Fall will in fact be a free upgrade for those who own the game.
Dude, I'm so happy when
on PSVR.
I'm so happy when I'm wrong when it comes to this kind of stuff, because we just make assumptions based on the knowledge that we have available, and over the last few years, we've kind of seen what Vertigo Games is all about. I don't want to go on any further about this because I don't want to be more negative when we should be be positive about it. But it is really reassuring to see this, because this was, if any game was going to charge for a PSVR 2 upgrade, this was the one that was going to do it, right? My hope is AJ, that I saw the trailer. I couldn't find it to play right now, but the trailer for the PSVR 2 version kind of just looked the same as the PSVR 1 version with sharper edges. Yeah, it didn't look like the PC VR version. And Wes was saying, "Oh, we'll obviously get the PC VR version." And I'm like, "Well, let's fucking hope so," because what they showed didn't look awesome.
It looked okay. I went back when you said that. I went back and looked at the trailer, and there's times where it looks really nice, and then there's times where it looks kind of blocky.
That's the game. That's the game itself, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so, and I suppose it is kind of a blend of that. But yeah, Wes said that really the PC version is really only like the PSVR version, just upscaled resolution. Right. So. Yeah, they haven't announced, a ton of visual and upgrades and enhancements, but we do know that they've wanted some parity with the game across all platforms, and it will be taking advantage of the haptics, adaptive triggers, and things. So I think I've changed my mind about After the Fall, and I think I'm going to be a little bit more supportive of them this gen. For doing the upgrade, and keep in mind. It's really important to note as well with some of these upgrades that if these games do offer free upgrades, that you can purchase them right now, on sale, or when they go on sale, which they go often on sale. After the Fall's been $20 a bunch of times. You can purchase these right now and then get them on, you still pay, you still support the dev a little bit, and you pay a little bit of money, and they get a little support. Plus, you get a discount, and then you'll get the free upgrade. So it's really, really important that we pay attention to these free upgrades for this reason.
Yeah, absolutely. This will actually. I have hope. I have hope for After the Fall. I'm not going to say I'm going to be more supportive of them or of this game next gen. Because it all comes down to what they do, right? I've already stated my case on After the Fall. Some people agree, some people disagree, and that's just going to be the way it is. We're all not going to agree on everything all the time. This game just was severely lacking in content when it came out, and even though they're adding content to it now, it's simply not. I'm finding out very quickly that this is just not the kind of game I'm looking for. That no matter how much content they add, I'm like, it's still a boring gameplay loop. And I was like, well, you can add a million new places and a million new enemies, and guess what? The gameplay loop is still boring. Super cool video, bro. The $2 tip in the chat says, just upgrade Skyrim and Squadrons, and then I'll retire.
I think Squadrons has a decent chance of getting an upgrade. But as far as After the Fall goes, I want there to be more content, more variety, like a little bit more better content in terms of it. But I did think the moment to moment gameplay is pretty fun. I think I enjoyed this game a little bit more than you, even when we first previewed it on the Quest.
I think everybody enjoyed this more than I did.
Yeah, but I think some of your criticisms I think are fair and whatever. But I think it, like I said, I'm ready to kind of turn it around on this game and start to support it come next gen.
Yeah, hopefully they can work out some of the bugs, because there were some frustrating things, and if it all just kind of works better, then it'll certainly be more fun. But just to by the way, just to address Super Cool Video Bro's $2 tip, I agree with you, AJ, that Squadrons has a great chance because EA Motive, obviously, still making amazing games. They're the ones behind the Dead Space remake. Still got my fingers crossed that that's coming to VR.
Wow.
Would love that. And they're doing the Iron Man game, right? So really, really hoping that they've got VR in their plans. But as far as Skyrim goes, at this point, who the fuck knows, right? How far back did Sony make any deals with Bethesda? Is any of that shit on the books? We have no idea. It would be fantastic. I don't think Microsoft gives a fuck about VR, and so if they don't give a fuck about VR, then they're probably like, oh, go ahead, do it. Make a few bucks on PSVR 2. Like, that's not competing with us in any way whatsoever. Who knows?
Okay, so some of the other games that we know are going to be cross-gen titles, like Hello Neighbor, Suicide Guy, Light Brigade, and I believe Alvo.
Yep.
But we're kind of just getting started. We're still in the beginning with that. There's still first-party titles. I mean, we know because Sony has said this behind closed doors, but we know that they have said that there's a focus on remasters. What else do you think they need to show in terms of remasters?
I mean, I think Sony specifically needs to show. They need to show their first-party stuff, right? It's like we haven't. It would be amazing for them to show off like Astrobot Rescue Mission, dude. 6 million PSVR 1 owners is great. I think they did a pretty good job the first time around. VR wasn't exactly mainstream. It's still not mainstream. 6 million, nothing to sneeze at, even if it wasn't like setting the world on fire. But they supported PSVR with games like Astrobot Rescue Mission, Blood and Truth, Everybody's Golf VR, Wipeout a Mega Collection, right? They need to deliver upgrades for all of those games. And AJ, I know this is a thing that Miles and I keep going on about, but I don't think I've had a chance for you to chime in on it. What are your thoughts if Sony upgraded all of those for PSVR 2, included adaptive triggers, 4K resolution, whatever, right? Analog stick support, and then said, but the PSVR 2 versions are part of your Plus collection, right? So maybe like if you already own them, free upgrades, great. But if you're new to VR and you're a Plus subscriber, here, I mean, they gave us 20 AAA games just for buying a PlayStation 5, right? And with all the people out there who are shitting on PSVR 2, saying that $550 is way too much money, that they've just priced themselves out of the market, it's ridiculous, and there's no way anybody's going to buy it. Saying, hey, we're giving you like 10 remastered PSVR 1 games. They can team up with third parties, that kind of stuff, like right out of the gate, right? It's like $300 value. Doesn't that cut the sting of the price tag a little bit, saying, hey, we just give you $300 of free games. You don't even need to buy a game to start enjoying your PSVR 2 headset.
I think it's a great idea, and it's a I think it would be a wonderful idea to have a PS Plus for VR. And VR has seen itself on PlayStation Plus. It's been a PlayStation Plus monthly games part of that collection, and so there's been a little VR involved with that. Stuff like Firewall, I think Rush of Blood. So VR is no stranger to the PlayStation Plus subscription, and I think it's a great incentive, especially people that enjoy both games. I think it would be a wonderful idea and a wonderful way to get some people, especially VR users, to sign up. And my dog is borking in his sleep. He's bork, bork.
I was like, what's borking? But then you made the sound effect, and I was like, that's adorable.
It's like barking when you're sleeping. So, like when he's asleep and he has a dream, he doesn't bark, he borks. He goes, bork, bork, bork.
Never owned a dog. I don't know anything about this.
Thank God for noise canceling. Anyways, the other thing is, obviously, I think what's almost more important though is free upgrades. I think all these, I think it would be great for a lot of these to have a free upgrade, even though some of them were free in the past. Yeah. This is just Sony's. All their first party stuff is a great way, no matter how they do it, to bolster the lineup. And that's what they need to do.
Bolster. It's been like the word of the day around Discord recently. Everyone's saying bolster just all the time. Doozy Cat with the 25 plantains says, just up-res Omega Collection and make it native 120 FPS. I don't need another Wipeout. I really hope they do that for us because the Omega Collection was, I mean, 3 full games, right? It was just so much content in there for $20. It'd be great to get that, but also it sounds like there's another Wipeout game in the works, and so if we get both, here's your collection, get you all excited for a new Wipeout, and then deliver a brand new one that actually takes like full advantage of the PSVR 2. It would be amazing, dude. Wipeout's one of the best looking games on PSVR 1. Like they worked some fucking magic with that shit. It was amazing.
It looked incredible.
Roller coaster racing, AJ.
Yeah. We're kind of due for a new Wipeout. That Wipeout collection was kind of put together since the PS3 era, I think is when Wipeout Omega came out. And they've kind of just reiterated it a little bit here and there. And yeah, so we're due for a new Wipeout game. It's a great franchise and IP. And yeah, a next gen one would be amazing. I would be happy with a remaster as well.
AJ, I think we need to talk about Beat Saber a little bit, especially when it comes to this conversation. It was great to see a tweet from them today saying that they've got an update coming. God, is it tomorrow, November 8th?
Yeah.
Right, and so if you can see the trailer here, teaser, I guess. Right, you get the blue and red saber, and the blue saber chops out the E in Beat Saber, just makes it SABR. And I said, "What the hell is that? What does that mean? Somebody's got to understand what this means." And everybody was like, "Brian, it's the Weeknd. The Weeknd is spelled WEEKND. They cut out the E," and I was like, "Oh, okay, I didn't know that." I've never heard a single song by The Weeknd. AJ, are you a fan?
I have no idea who they are.
Oh, well, perfect.
I've probably heard. Usually, I've heard 1 or 2 songs from everybody, but I don't know who they are until I hear it, and I go, "Oh, that one, okay."
Right. I feel like I know a lot of people who like The Weeknd, and so I feel like I'm going to buy this. I didn't buy the Lizzo DLC. That's the first DLC I haven't bought, and it has nothing to do with the performer. It has everything to do with I haven't played Beat Saber in 2 months, and so I'm not going to go buy DLC. But if I'm getting back into Beat Saber, then I'm going to buy the Lizzo DLC. I'm going to buy this DLC for The Weeknd, and get back into it, man, because just a little bit of physical activity goes a long way, and plus I do love Beat Saber so much, and I probably give it enough of a break where I'm going to be excited to get back to it. But
it is a great game, a game that it would be a missed opportunity, or it would be heartbreaking if it didn't make its way onto PSVR 2.
Well, AJ, A great reason to join our
Oh.
Discord is so that you can leave us viewer takeover questions. If you click the link in the description below, join our Discord, head over to the viewer takeover channel and leave us questions there. You can always get your question or your comment read on the on the show by tipping. But if you don't feel like giving us any money, that's fine too. You can leave a question before the show starts and leave it in the viewer takeover channel. As Jay Meow did, he writes hashtag viewer takeover. If Beat Saber doesn't come to PSVR 2, is PSVR 2 doomed?
No. Easy answer. No, but it is, like I said, that's obviously the most popular VR game probably of all time. Everybody knows what it is, and it's gotten some of the most mainstream media attention. And it is something that, like I said, it would be disappointing if it wasn't even, if it didn't make it over there. And I think, I think it should be on PSVR 2.
I agree, and honestly, it did. Oculus kind of made it sound like they have this working relationship with Sony, when it comes to VR, because they thanked Sony for working with them to to get Iron Man VR over to the Quest platform, and so you've got to figure it's like, well, what are we getting in return? Like, I mean, obviously they bought Camouflage, but Sony owns, or Sony.
I like where your mind was going, because when you brought this up today, I was like, oh, this is why Marvel or Iron Man got on the Quest. This is probably what they traded.
Yeah, I mean, owning Camouflage is one thing, but you don't just, when you buy Camouflage, you don't just automatically get the Iron Man. All right, let's see here. Yeah, it looks like I'm cutting in and out.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. My download speed is like 1 megabit a second. So something's going on over here.
This is the most I could hear you in a while.
Yeah. I couldn't even load.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody says we're back.
Okay.
Is that true?
I don't know. I'm going to give it a second because
people are celebrating for something.
Even if we are back, it's going to take a second here because everything's kind of goofy.
Yeah.
So just give it a minute.
Everything is goofy.
Fucking Worcester, man. They're like, hey, we won't put any, we don't have to worry about sirens this episode, Brian, but your internet's just going to be completely fucking borked.
I love it. Yeah, I was laughing so hard at people saying bork something. I don't know. Somebody said something that made me laugh. Okay.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to be patient. Good? No, we're not good. We just have to be patient.
Oh.
Because yeah, I'm getting nothing over here. Like nothing. Yeah, B Triple says it's 5 seconds of being back and 5 seconds of being pork. So we'll just be patient. It should self-correct. We're not out completely, so that's good. But
I'll blame it on YouTube.
I wish I could blame it on YouTube, man. I wish I could. So you can see me okay, right? Like the video feed and everything's fine?
Yeah.
Audio's fine?
Yeah, it's not freezing. It's not freezing like it was.
All right. So at least we know we have some kind of stable connection.
Beauty
here,
of live streaming.
right? But not the but not the beauty of. Oh, YouTube's suddenly saying excellent connection. Let's see. Let's test. Let's do a speed test.
Speed test is going to make you slow down again.
The speed test is telling me that we do not have an excellent connection, not even slightly. That's fine.
Might have had something go wrong. Might have had somebody cut a cable somewhere.
I mean, the fact that we're getting anything is really strange.
Yeah.
Check in on the chat. Chat's working again. There we go. Yeah, you and I were actually both frozen on screen for a minute there because OBS sucks, and it had nothing to do with what with our outage. So people are like, "You guys are frozen." I'm like, "No, that was actually just OBS being stupid." So, pizza tonight? What are you doing after the show?
I make my own pizzas now. It's glorious.
You make your own pizzas.
Are we back?
That's
I think.
awesome.
I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but
Yeah.
seems like we're good to go. Maybe.
No, see, it's like every time they say we're back, it's and they're like, you're not back. Right. Oh, dude, the speed test is out of control, on fire. It looks like we are killing it again. We are back up and running. All right. So Beat Saber, is it coming to PSVR 2, Brian? So, right. I think I was in the middle of saying that Quest had just gotten Iron Man, and that the Iron Man IP wouldn't have just come along with the camouflage purchase, and so there had to been some agreement between Sony and Oculus at that point. And so, I think the smartest thing they could have done has been like, listen, you can have Iron Man, but we definitely need Beat Saber next gen. Now, AJ, but I don't think it's good enough to just have Beat Saber on PSVR 2. I think we also need everything to carry over. The Beat Saber is a prime example of a games as service game, right? Because it's one of those things that you're going to constantly spend money on. I spent money on it this entire generation. I probably got, God, I don't even know how much money or how many packs I bought. Easily $100 of DLC, if not more. And next gen, I mean, I'm assuming there's going to be easily another $100 or $200 of DLC. We're going to have Beat Saber right from day one, hopefully. And the Beat Saber team is getting bigger and bigger, and that means we're going to get more DLC, more varied DLC. We're going to get, hopefully, a lot of the shit we've been asking for a long time. Hopefully you get some metal packs for yourself. I get some emo packs for myself. The cats out there can have jazz or whatever the fuck else they want. J Meow can get the Persona 5 soundtrack. Who the fuck knows, right? But it's basically... It's a small price for them to pay to say, keep giving us money, because there's all of these other cats out there like Synth Riders and whoever else, Audica could make a comeback, you never know, that want a piece of Beat Saber's pie. And so Beat Saber will keep us on the hook as long as they give us the upgrade for free and carry the DLC over for free. But if they don't do that, so many people are going to say, you know what? I'm not willing to spend all that money again. I'm not coming along for the ride this gen.
Yeah, I will say the fact that we've only seen Pistol Whip announced, which is also going to get a free upgrade as well and some enhancements, does have me a little worried, because it's like, yeah, you're talking about other games wanting a piece of that rhythm game pie, and Pistol Whip is, I think, the only one front and center right now. So, obviously still early, but. Yeah, I think that is a little bit of a cause for concern.
Well, what I've been saying is everybody's worried until they're not, right? Because there's obviously reason to be worried now, but honestly, there's so much more that's going to be revealed before PSVR 2 even gets here, and we haven't even had an actual showcase yet or an actual PSVR 2 event yet. And Beat Saber, as you've already said, one of the best-selling VR games of all time, that would be something that Sony would want on their stage. And so the fact that it hasn't been mentioned yet just gives me more belief that an event like that is on its way. So. And again, Resident Evil 4, right? We're all just fucking chomping at the bit. What's going on with Resident Evil 4? Like, what is the VR content? You'd mentioned it and then never said it again. And like, again, that would be something for a Sony stage. That's not something you put on a blog post. Although, let's.
Well, don't mention the B word. Yeah. I think when it comes to Resident Evil 4, I think we gotta let the dust settle from Village and PSVR 2, and let the dust settle just a little bit. And then, once the dust settles from Resident Evil 4 Remake's launch, because we don't know if that content, that PSVR 2 content, is going to be around launch either. Probably not, I would say. They'll probably do a similar thing. Maybe even... I still think Resident Evil 4 would make a great October reveal or release. I mean... in spirit of Halloween and stuff, spooky season.
I agree. Old Darth, a cat-nipping game cat, great name by the way, says, what's going on with Gran Turismo 7? Again, another thing great for a Sony stage, right? So many non-believers out there. I see Red in the chat. You know how many times I've heard, yeah, so many non-believers, right? But again, the thing's not out yet. We don't even know the launch lineup yet. You can be a non-believer, man, but make sure you come back once all the cards are on the table and say, all right, I believe now. Right now that we've been shown, we don't know the launch lineup. We don't know what's on the roadmap. Right, that hasn't been announced yet. There's so much shit in the works.
Sometimes we follow things. I mean, games take years to make, and sometimes we get a hint or know something a little too early, and so we're expecting like, why haven't they announced it yet? Right. And it's just there's a completely the reality is there's just something, we're just way ahead of the game a little bit. But Gran Turismo again is absolutely something I believe is going to get PSVR 2 support. I did see actually a little bit of movement on that, but not much. Somebody did spot some code for VR in the showcase. However, we already know that they've been demoing Gran Turismo's cafe on like an 8K, 8K heads like thing that they're talking about, or some. Because Sony does R&D stuff like years and years ahead of time. So, but really, when it comes to Gran Turismo 7, to answer your question there, I mean, Kazunori Yamauchi has mentioned himself countless times. Years ago, he hasn't since the launch, but years ago mentioned that he actually believes the greatest leap in that the PS5 is going to have for Gran Turismo series is VR. So, it'll definitely happen.
Yeah, dude, Sony believes in VR. Sony believes in PSVR 2. Like I think everyone's going to be really, really surprised when they see what's coming. And I hope that I'm surprised as well, right? I think we know a few things that haven't been announced, but we don't know most of the things that haven't been announced. So it's
a lot of the first party stuff is what we don't know, because Sony's really good at protecting their first party stuff, but I mean, they've gotten better about other stuff too. But yeah.
Grizzly Bear King with the $5 tip says, there's a decent amount of Sony music licensed songs in Beat Saber. It would be weird not to be on PSVR 2. Dude, Sony is such a big corporation, like the Sony Movies department, Sony Movies VR, the PlayStation department division. It's so. What was the Zombieland game, Headshot Fever or whatever? That was like
it's Sony Pictures Virtual Reality.
Sony Pictures Virtual Reality literally never came to PlayStation VR. I mean, I'm sure it's coming to PSVR 2, right? But how that game was not technically incapable of running on PSVR 1, right? It was very basic looking.
It was originally planned. It was originally planned to come to PSVR. It just changed.
Right. So basically, it's like just and then of course Ghostbusters VR, another Sony IP, got announced for Quest first, and we were like, what the hell is happening with this? This is ridiculous. And so it's very strange that the different divisions of Sony don't seem to care about the success of the other divisions of Sony. It just doesn't seem to work like that. They actually do operate as like independent corporations, but we'll see what happens, man. AJ, we got to get to the core of the show here. The headline of the show is 5 things you didn't know about PSVR 2. Now, if you've all been paying attention, this show is really for people who maybe haven't been paying attention, is maybe reading some of the finer details, right? Because a lot of the hardcore game cats out there are, dude, they've got their thumb on the pulse, finger on the pulse, finger on the button, whatever it is, right? But they're fucking hardcore about reading into like literally every single description on every single game and investigating the PlayStation Store and just kind of dissecting everything, right? So some of the hardcore game cats out there are like even more hardcore about this shit than like I am, right? And they're like, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? And it's like, so it was finally time to put all this stuff together. So some of you cats out there might know the stuff we're talking about, but we're guessing that quite a few of you do not. So let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. If you haven't been paying close attention, then you may have missed our stream where we talked about the cable. one of the big complaints about PlayStation VR 1 wasn't the cable itself. It was that the sorry.
Bork Angel 3.
Very seldom does a tip stop me in my tracks and just make me forget everything I'm thinking. Borg Angel 3, thank you, Dark Angel. It's a 650 tip. It says, woof, choo choo. Thank you for starting the tip train. We love you so much.
They're making fun of you, Rock.
I think
he doesn't
I think
care. He's
you're
still
making fun of Rock, and we're just going along for the ride.
We're all making fun of you, Rock.
Where's the rock cam? We need the rock cam. I need a tornado cam and a rock cam. Yeah.
You only have access to see his butt behind the chair. You just see a pair of legs.
It's not flattering. It's not a flattering angle. So the cable on PSVR 1 was an issue, and not because it was attached to the headset. Luckily, we're getting rid of the breakout box, so that is an improvement. But the problem is that some people, their headset was fine, and then their cat or their dog or their lawnmower or whatever else accidentally cut through the cable, chewed through it, whatever, or it got kind of tangled up, right? And if you tangle up wires too tightly, the connections inside of them can break. And so some people had a perfectly working headset, but then the cable itself broke, and they had to get a brand new headset. There was no way to have that fixed. So the first thing to note is that this cable, 15 feet long, and most importantly, AJ, detachable.
Yeah, that's going to be a great way. And it's not, I'm guessing it's not detachable in a way like it's kind of easy to detach. I think it's a way like, hey, should your cable get cut or broken or damaged, there is a way that you can replace it. And I feel like, it's not, but I don't think it's like correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's like a quick and easy detachable thing. It's just like, oh, there's a way to detach it if you need to replace it.
Yeah, it seems like it's just above, close to your forehead. It kind of plugs into just above the display, and so, but it still is wired through the plastic of the headset and comes out in the same general vicinity. And so what you're dealing with is there's no way it's going to accidentally come unplugged. You'd have to manually pull that out and then kind of like pull the whole thing through the headset. Now, what's interesting about this, AJ, is that Sony hasn't even mentioned this yet. This is something that a lot of the cats out there were excited about and happy about, but at the same time, but it came from us. It didn't come from Sony. Why would Sony not tell us this? Why would they be kind of holding this back and saying and not revealing something that would make a lot of PSVR 1 owners happy about their PSVR 2 purchase?
I think it's a little too in the weeds. I think they're still just kind of getting to basic stuff. I mean, people aren't gonna. Yes, it's kind of a cool thing, but I think it comes later. I think it's something. It's not necessarily something that's really super marketable, I would say, but it is one of those things that we'll probably hear later on in a PlayStation podcast or something that's in the small print in the PlayStation blog or website or something like that. But yeah, I don't think it's supposed to be some kind of big feature. It's more just a convenient design choice.
Do you think this gives any credibility to the thought that maybe there's a Mark Cerny tech talk coming, where he kind of does like a tech breakdown, because there's things like this that should be said, and it would be it doesn't need its own blog post, it doesn't need its own breaking news report, it doesn't, right? But it's something that people should know, and I feel like during a tech breakdown, people would be like, oh, that's really nice that you can just unplug that. That's really cool. Thanks, Mark Cerny, for showing us that.
It'd be like either Hideaki Nishino doing a little thing. It's like, remember when? Yeah, I mean, I guess the closest comparison you have is with the PS5, they showed how you could open it up and clean it, and it was like easy to clean and take apart, replace things in it, install things. They might have a couple like tech tips kind of videos like that, but yeah, I just think that there's other things. You don't really want to focus on, hey, if something happens to they probably don't want to talk about the cable at all, because that's literally like one of the things that the mainstream audience and the hardcore like tech crowd criticized the most, is that it even though it's just one cable and most people we know, most people aren't going to really care. It is a very marketable thing saying it's wireless. I mean, that's basically all Quest 2 goes around saying is it's wireless. It's wireless. They don't really say like a lot else, because it is something that they have that is a plus. So wireless. What the thing is that wireless is good, but as we know, it requires some extra investing to get it to be able to last long. The base wireless right now is like 2 hours long, and it sucks. So it's good if you invest into it a little bit more.
Right. The other thing about this being, and I just have to say, give a shout out to the chat because you guys are awesome. Be Dribble in the chat, doing God's work. This is Mark Cerny Tech Talk, a perfect place to announce NAC 3 VR. Yep, absolutely. In red, our ever optimist in the chat today says it would have happened already. I feel we're close to launch, too close to launch for anything now. I completely disagree, Red. I feel like Sony hasn't even begun ramping up their PSVR 2 hype. We haven't really seen much in the way of videos, and I think that we're going to get bombarded with videos, whether it be these tech talks, whether it be PSVR 2 events, whether it be more game reveals. I think we're just getting the ball rolling. Sony got the kind of crappy stuff out of the way, being like, there's going to be these Quest ports or these PC VR ports, and there's going to be these PSVR 1, upgrades, and the price isn't, maybe what you were hoping for it to be. They were kind of quiet about all that, doing it on a blog post. But now with that out of the way, they can really get to the exciting stuff and be like, okay, now the details, you've dealt with it, you've decided whether you're buying it or not. Now, for all those who are still on the fence, let's push you over.
Well, that kind of is a good segue into the second thing.
Oh, what's the second thing, AJ?
The second thing you have here is that Sony's not done showing this thing off.
Nice. That is a great segue, AJ.
Yeah, I think whether I'm not really expecting all of I don't know. I'm expecting a little similarity with the way that they marketed PSVR the first time around. But I do think that there's still a lot going on behind the scenes that we have not yet seen. I don't know how they're going to present it. But what I do know is that there is going to be some major announcements. And because we don't, we know, we don't even really know what the full launch lineup is yet. Mm-hmm. And, we still have to see a little bit of what the launch lineup is. There's a very good possibility. I mean, this thing, pre-orders go live in 8 days. The thing comes out in 107 days. So they definitely have a little bit more work to do unless they just don't care about selling it. They certainly need to do a little bit more. And not only get us excited for launch, but get us excited for the future as well. If there's a game, I'm okay. I want to see what's coming 2023 and 2024, and hell, even give me a teaser for 2025.
Please, for the love of God, for the love of God, don't do that.
You don't like that?
Dude,
I would. I mean, at least 2024 or something. But
I mean, like, I don't think they need to kind of shoot themselves in the foot that way. I think that Sony learned a hard lesson years ago when they revealed every game that they were working on. They were just killing it, man. They were at PAX, they were at Tokyo Game Show, they were at GDC, they were at Paris Games Week. They were everywhere. They were doing every single event, and at every single event they were like showing something new. And then they were like, "Oh, fuck, we don't have anything to reveal for like 3 more years." And Sony went kind of dark after that, and so it was really amazing, but then it was a disaster for them eventually from a PR standpoint. So I would much rather them just tell us what's coming between now and like holiday 2023. Like, give us an idea of what to expect over the next year, but keep your secrets, man. Keep your secrets.
I mean, look, the difference is that they had these events that they would attend, E3, the PlayStation experience, that they had to have materials to show during those to get people psyched up. Now they control the timing of when they want to do releases, yep, when they want to do showcases. They're no longer constrained to showing things at these showcases. So they can really do whatever they want. And mind you, despite those announcements being kind of early, they also kind of led to the downfall of the events because it's like, oh, you're showing more stuff that we already showed. Somebody bring out Fluke Guy. We'll bring out Fluke Guy.
Right.
That being said, PlayStation 4 was very successful. So
Yeah.
while those things are not, while some people don't like stuff being announced too early, personally, I feel like it's proven that it does work and does, people say, oh, I want to get it for this. And then we got this coming, something to get excited for.
Yeah.
I want to see what's coming. I want to see I want to see what's at launch, and I want to see what I can look forward to as well. I want to, if Gran Turismo 7 isn't coming at launch, I want to hear that it's coming 2024 or something.
Shades of Grey Matter in the chat says, I'm inclined to agree with AJ, which means I've done something completely wrong here, AJ. They need to convince people that there is going to be a lot of PSVR 2 games over in the long term. Yeah,
right.
And
there's going to be support.
But I agree with that. But I also think there's going to be so much over the next year. The launch year is going to be really packed with games. I think we're going to see a lot more than people expect, and it's to the point where they don't have to show more than they have to show.
Well, they do at this time. They do, because even with great looking games like Switchback, Crossfire, these have all stated they haven't said these are launch games. They said these are coming 2023. To me, these are the games.
Switchback's a launch title.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Switchback. Yeah, Crossfire and stuff. Yeah, no, you're right. Switchback is the launch title. But yeah, a lot of the announcements we're going to be seeing are these 2023 games at first. But if there's something big, if the bigger it is, the further away it can be, and it be okay. I think.
Yeah, I think hybrid games are going to do it for us, man. I think we're certainly going to see a handful of hybrid games soon. Because that's what people want, man. That's what people want. They're like, "Where's Grand Theft Auto VR?" It's like that is what people want, man.
The reason being is that they're full-length console quality, games.
Yeah, that would be amazing in first-person VR.
Yeah.
So listen, we kind of got off track a little bit here, but what I've got up on screen is the Unreal Fest West 2022, which is happening later this month in Japan, and they're showing off PlayStation VR 2. Participants, people who are showing up at the show, you got to buy tickets and register for it. But they're going to be able to play a 15-minute demo of Horizon Call of the Mountain. This is them just getting started. Here we are getting closer to launch. This is happening November 19th, which is after pre-orders go live, right?
Yes, pre-orders go live November 15th.
So again, maybe we'll see an event before pre-orders. Maybe we'll see an event after pre-orders go live. I don't think Sony's too concerned about making sure that there's an event before pre-orders go live or kicking off pre-orders with an event, that kind of thing. They just want to make sure that between now and launch, they've got the messaging out there and that it's clear, and so that people will, be buying this thing when it comes out, whether they pre-order it or buy it on day one.
I could see them holding off a little bit longer because right now they're doing closed pre-orders. I think they have to show something of substance by the time the open pre-orders, where anybody, where the quickest get it, get in first come first serve style. I feel like that's where they really need to strike the hardest. Yeah. The stuff right now is very closed. It almost feels like it could backfire a little bit, kind of rub it into those that didn't get an invite. And it could send a little bit of the, could rub some people the wrong way. But at some point, either open pre-orders and then, of course, around launch, I think at some point it's going to start really picking up. But, I just don't want to jump the gun and think it's going to be too soon because it seems like we're always on the right track, but we're way early.
Yeah. Shades of Grey Matter, speaking of being early, says, still haven't heard anything about any hybrid games beyond Resident Evil 8 and existing hybrids like No Man's Sky. Hope we hear more soon. Agreed. So again, just like the cable being detachable, Sony not talking about that. Sony has never yet, despite everything they've said about PSVR 2 have never yet said the word hybrid. That word came from us. That word came from us directly from the Sony Developer Summit. So it was a word Sony used. It was a definition that Sony defined for us, and then they have never said it publicly. And so to me, that feels like they're really holding back stuff, because whether they use the term publicly or not, they have not shown us a lot of hybrid games. And when we know full well that is a tentpole of PSVR 2, hybrid games in full-length games, AAA experiences.
That feel built from the ground up for VR. And then there's two things I could tell you here. It's either that they're holding on to them, or again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, it's just really early when it applies to that.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of studios it is really early. Like some just getting the ball rolling on that. But
Right.
but there's just as many who have known about this for a long time. And also I'm not actually. I don't want to say anything else. I was like, how do I say this without saying what I want to say? I'm just going to not say it.
Okay.
Listen, let's get a couple tips out of the way before we move on to number 3. Dutch DJ with the €6 says nothing, but we love you very much. Thank you for even being silent. Kawa04, now the lazy Gamecat with the 30 plantains, saying still awake.
Happy belated birthday once again. You get a double birthday. You get a prime time birthday shout out, Kawa.
Right? It's way better getting an actual birthday shout out when we're not sitting there on the title screen. It's nice. We also got all you are is borking.
Yes.
With the €2 says choo choo. Tip train. Thank you so much.
Wow,
you guys.
yeah, y'all really took that and ran with it. I love it, man.
It's a slow day, AJ. So, dude, the next one's kind of interesting. Something I don't know if I expected, but also that requires a little bit of explanation here. Some games on PSVR 2 are going to require room scale.
Okay, let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
The PS5 or PlayStation VR 2 is officially live on the PlayStation Store, on PS5, and on the website. And in the midst of this, of course, like we've always done, we like to go and look at what's there. Sometimes there's a little bit more to be learned. One of the things we have now learned is that some of the games have 3 different modes listed under the games, where you can play them sitting, you can play them standing, and then what you just mentioned. Now, this is something that was not on PlayStation VR, at least as a feature intentionally, but there is a room scale mode now with PlayStation VR, because now that we don't have an external camera, we have a little bit more freedom to move around.
AJ.
Yes.
I think room scale means different things to different people. I think a lot of the some people took their Quest and they went into like a gigantic football field where they could run pretty much in any direction as far as they wanted to go with the Quest headset on and not have to worry too much about running into anything. And for some people, that is room scale. For some people, not having to use the analog stick to move around and just being able to walk freely, that is room scale. To me, that is not room scale. That is something that is just never going to become mainstream. That is just never going to be a thing, because no one has a football field in their backyard, or at least most people don't have a football field in their backyard. And so no one's going to wait to play games without analog sticks and just be able to freely walk around. T for God is one of the only examples I can think of that you can set up a small play space and just constantly walk around. But that's the gimmick that makes that game work. No other game is going to be able to utilize that without just being like, man, this is a T for God ripoff.
Yeah, there was another one, like Ancient Dungeon or something. They look a little bit like Indiana Jones or something.
It looks great, but it failed because no one has room to play that shit.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. It is. Well, I think it's an okay feature and everything. Yeah, like you said, I don't personally like walking around my room. I like to know that I'm safe in one spot, that I'm not going to fall out my window or run into something or break something. I know there's a lot of debate over this, but I'm personally totally fine with joysticks for movement, and then just any physical movement, but like kind of staying in place.
Right.
I get the appeal, but it's just, again, it doesn't make a great game most of the time.
Well,
or like, no, I said that wrong. It doesn't automatically make a bad game good. Let's just put it that way.
Well,
like, it's more of a feature.
I think that, I think the thing we have to remember with PSVR2 is that we are tethered to a console. Even with a 15-foot cable, we're still tethered to a console. We're not walking into other rooms. We're not walking, 30 feet away from our no. We are still playing in a generally small space. And I think that most people who are PlayStation VR gamers are very much living room gamers, right? We're like, okay, whatever space we have available in our living room is the amount of space that we have for VR. Very, very few of us have dedicated VR rooms. I know that some of you do, and I'm very happy for you, but that is not the majority. And so I think that any developer making a PSVR 2 game that requires room scale is going to be fully aware that A, we're tethered to a console, B, we don't have the room that a football field would require. And so I think when we see a description on the PlayStation Store that says room scale required, it's going to be very much like you need to be able to walk 2 feet in that direction and 2 feet in that direction. Like, this requires just a little bit more space than your typical game, but it's still very much going to be living room VR for us. I think it's still no one's gonna keep us from playing those games. No developer in the right mind. Sorry,
I totally screwed up the point I was trying to make, but no, I totally agree with you that if anything, people are more interested in VR games that require less space. Like you constantly see that, and it's just what people have access to. It's really what it's about, and like you said, even if you can utilize more space, you're still tethered to the headset. When I've played other VR headsets like the Quest 2 for science, I still, guess where I played it? The exact same spot where I played my VR. Except for in bed. You can play Demio in bed, and that's kind of nice. But that's it. How long? I can't do that forever.
Crap. Do you know where the FAQ page is? Do you have a link to that? Because I'm just trying to find it on the fly here. I didn't have it ready.
Which one? Because there's actually two of them.
For the PSVR 2. Hold on a second. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I'm looking at the one on the PlayStation.com. This seems to be kind of outdated. It doesn't seem to have all the stuff that I was looking for, so it must be the other one. Well, so a good segue, I think, into our next one is actually comes from a comment in the chat from Bad Robo, who says the question is whether there will be games that will be able to use DualSense for PSVR 2. And AJ, in the FAQ somewhere that I cannot bring up on screen right now because I have no idea where it is, Sony has indeed said that there will be games that support the DualSense.
Yeah. There was a frequently asked question about can you use the PS4 hardware with the PSVR 2, and it basically said no, you can't use the moves, but it did kind of confirm that the DualSense can actually be supported by PlayStation VR 2. Which, you know what that means, Brian? Astrobot remaster.
Yeah, I mean, so I think we got into a kind of sketchy situation with PSVR 1 because obviously everyone and actually I couldn't believe to find out that this wasn't totally true. I was going to say everyone who had PSVR 1 had a DualShock 4. Shockingly, that wasn't actually the case. Some people bought their console used, didn't come with a controller. They bought their headset and they didn't have a DualShock, which is crazy. But so there were actually people out there who didn't have a DualShock. A lot of people didn't have Move controllers because as soon as we found out we were getting the Move controllers were going to have a second life and be used on PSVR, they shot up in price, right? And then even the officially branded PlayStation ones, the new ones you get in stores were like $100 for a pair. So they get expensive. And for people who are like buying $20 games, you're like, well, I could buy 5 $20 games or Move controllers. So a lot of people never got around to using the Move controllers. Then we had the Aim controller, which was an amazing controller, but then like even fewer games supported that. So you're like, well, am I going to buy an Aim controller that, that I'm going to play just with Firewall and Arizona Sunshine and Farpoint? Like the answer is you should have, because it was amazing, but it also means that now we have 3 control schemes. So here we are with PlayStation VR2, AJ, and in my head I was like, well, every single headset, this is factual because we've seen it now, every single headset comes with a pair of Sense controllers. They're in the box. So why wouldn't every single game use the Sense controllers? Do you think, AJ, that every game will use the Sense controllers, but some games will also support the DualSense? Or do you think some games out there will just support the DualSense and not use the Sense controllers?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I think the majority of the focus is definitely going to be with the orbs, because that's really what it's about, is showing off the new features, the new tracking, but we could see, like I said, what I like about this theory, what I like about them at least confirming, is that like I'm okay with some options, and also this gives us a way to be able to have a game like Static, like Astrobot 2 remastered and playable, with the asterisk that, hey, you have to only be able to play this with the DualSense. It only works with the DualSense. Here's the thing, though, man. I'll be honest with you. I love options. I've always preached options. I think it worked really great for the PSVR first gen. That was kind of the Wild West and experimental, but it got a little out of hand. I mean, you have 3 consoles for one headset, a PS4, a PS4 Pro, and a PS5. Mm-hmm. You have 3 different controller types for the thing. You have DualSense. DualShock 4, Move controllers, Aim controller,
3D rudder.
Technically, even beyond that. And I think you want to try to keep it all together as much as possible. I do think that there is room for some, accessories, things like that. But I do think you want to make sure it doesn't get too out of hand as well. But what was your question again?
This is how Gamescast usually goes.
It's a lot to process.
No, it is. This could have been an entire episode right here on Gamescast. Do you think that there'll be games that support the DualSense controller but not the Sense controllers? Like, so if there's a new Astro game, which would be perfect for the DualSense, right? Because platformers just feel good with a solid one-piece controller.
I had this argument with J Mal last night where we were talking about an Astrobot 2. Would we want it to be a DualSense game, or would we want it? And to me personally, the way I stand is I would want the remaster of the first game to use the DualSense, because that's what it was designed for, the DualShock 4. It's very similar. But for a new game, I think it's a missed opportunity for using the new Sense controllers, like controlling Astro down a path. Yes, I like the way platformers feel with the gamepad, I do, but I also would love to control Astro down a path, shoot a bow and arrow, and clear debris or hit a target that reveals a platform that he can jump to, and then control him there, or manipulating the environment. I feel like that would add to the immersion. Personally, I am all for the orbs, but I would be very surprised if there's games that it's like DualShock or DualSense only. I'd be pretty surprised, to be honest, unless an Astro remaster.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any reason to make it DualSense only. But yeah, I don't know. It all depends on the gameplay. You described some interesting scenarios with an Astrobot Rescue Mission 2 that could actually take advantage of things that PlayStation VR 1 wasn't technically capable of. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I do hope we have the options. It would be really nice, when you think about something like Gran Turismo, when you think about something like Wipeout, it would be great to have the option to use the Sense controllers, reach out and grab the steering wheel, do manual shifting, or whatever else it is, right? Turning with your hands.
It works, man.
It works. Yeah,
It works.
It even worked in No Man's Sky with Move controllers, right?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is the DualSense would work in some situations as well. I mean, Mike Kelly here says, but sometimes I just want to chill in VR with a DualShock or DualSense.
Yep.
That's true. I mean, sometimes it's just being in VR and you can still have a fun experience and play a fun game. And it is a PlayStation ecosystem where everyone's used to using a controller. It's a little bit more familiar. It might be easier for some people to play. It's also less strenuous. Yep. So I think that there's very big advantages to both, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm torn on it, right? Because if you go back far enough and without Parole history, you will hear me say the words, "I'm a gamer. I just want to sit on my couch with a controller and play games." And that was in reference to Resident Evil 7. Like I was very happy sitting on my couch and just being in VR, but still using a controller. Things have changed for me personally, right? Like I want to be in the game as much as possible. Yes, I think that game's amazing, and yes, I think they did an amazing job working with what they had. But that game would have been the ultimate PSVR game if they had given it move support. And so I've changed over the years, and some people have, and some people haven't. And so I totally do understand where people are coming from when they say, "Hey, I just want to fucking sit on a couch and play a VR game. I don't need to be waving my arms. I could just sit there with a controller and be very happy." Giving people the option, I think, would be great. So we'll see what happens. The big question I think is like how much movement. How much tracking are we going to get out of the DualSense controller itself, right? Like the Sense controllers are fully tracked. The DualSense, it's got the
rely on the gyroscopes and
it's got the little light bar on it too. It's like, is this thing going to be able to track that light sensor? I mean, it's just a different kind of light. It's IR or regular.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a regular light, so it just doesn't seem like it would, but who knows? Maybe there's another way to track it.
Who knows? So we'll see. I just hope that trying to support the DualSense controller doesn't hold back any games, right?
Right.
Give us everything we want.
Yeah. Like when if Hitman gets remastered and is on the DualSense and not the orbs, like that's gonna be shitty.
I don't know if I can talk about that. That's like worst case scenario for PSVR 2.
Yeah,
right?
That's the danger there. It's like, yes, I agree. I want to chill sometimes with the controller, but then there's also where like this game should have had move support. You know what I mean? That's because that's the experience that really, the more you can set yourself apart from regular gaming, or just at least make VR. That's what makes VR unique and special, I think.
Yeah, I apologize for not knowing who this was in the chat that said it, but somebody said I just want to play Horizon Forbidden West in VR and use my third person and use my head as the camera, right? And so, dude, yeah, I totally agree with that statement too, right? I do want to play all of these AAA flat screen games in VR, right? And it's fine if it's third person. It's fine if I'm using the DualSense controller. That's a whole nother way to play VR games, and that would be a super chill way to play Horizon, and probably the only way to get me to actually play the most recent flat screen Forbidden West. Oh, dude, we need to. Oh, Mike Kelly, thank you. That was him. All right, what's our next one?
The next one is that the effective IPD.
Oh yeah,
can actually be bigger than 110 degrees.
Right. This one came to us from Jay Meow, who I was talking to before Gamescast started. And the interesting thing about IPD measurements is that it's sort of all relative, right? Because it really does depend on how close you can get these lenses to your eyes, and the fact that the PSVR 2 will be adjustable and you can push these lenses closer to your eyes. I see that Lemon Lime Lukey in the chat is worried that we're all going to destroy our eyes playing VR, and so Lemon Lime Lukey, you may not want to put the lenses as close to your eyes as I'm going to put them to mine, because my eyeballs are going to be touching those lenses. You're like, I want to see as much as I can. I don't care if my vision goes. And I'm pretty sure that my vision's deteriorated over the last 6 years. So I don't think he's in the wrong, AJ. I think we've been warned our whole life not to sit too close to the TV. And for 6 years straight, I sat as close to the TV as you possibly could. And I don't know. I don't know how I passed my last eye test for my license. I have no idea how I passed it. I couldn't see any of those letters. So be careful. Don't play as much VR as I play, and certainly do it in smaller bursts. But yeah. So it was interesting, AJ. I think when they first announced the 110 FOV for PlayStation VR2, because people are like, oh, that 110 is not next gen. That's not, we needed at least 120. And I was like, well, you've never even played a headset with 110 degrees FOV.
Did people actually complain about that?
Dude,
I don't remember that.
So let's take a trip down memory lane, right? PSVR 1 had 100 FOV, and I believe Quest 2 has 90 FOV. And so a majority of gamers out there who are playing on the Quest 2 right now and thinking like, Quest 2 is fantastic. This is a huge upgrade. This is like over a 20% upgrade from what you're playing right now, and that's amazing to me. I think and on top of that, with the adjustable lenses and being able to bring them closer to your eyes, you're going to get a higher IPD than 110 degrees. And so really, I'm curious to see. People who know more about this stuff than I do have told me it's a case of diminishing returns, right? You can get these higher FOVs with these wider lenses and all of that, but then it distorts around the outside. It costs way more money, right? This seems like the perfect happy medium for the technology we have right now. So I think that this might be perfect. So 110, great, but also it's actually going to be higher than that with the adjustable lenses.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with the PSVR the way it fits. I've always thought, I of course am happy to welcome a 10-degree increase. But even on the Quest 2, I will say like it doesn't. The thing is, yes, the Quest 2 has like every time I put it on, there's like a giant gaping hole down there. But even that at the much lower thing has never really it's never affected my experience really. I've never been like, oh, I just can't play this because it's the IP or the the IPD or whatever is too small, or the field of view is too small. But I've always, I've been pretty happy with PSVR. With PSVR you see like a little bit of black around the eyes, but then this being an increase, it'll be a lot better.
Yeah, agreed. B-Triple in the chat says, I like wide FOVs. Human sight is the most sensitive to motion, not clarity in the periphery. So it makes a huge difference, I think. I agree with you. I can't stop thinking. You said when you're playing Quest, you look down and see a gaping hole, and I just can't stop thinking about that, AJ. That's I'm going to be laying in bed tonight.
Yes,
I'm going to be laying in bed thinking about you looking down and seeing a gaping hole. This is one that's not going to escape my mind for a little while. But when I play Quest, I do see the edges of my vision. Like to me, it feels like I'm wearing goggles, right? Like I'm actually wearing some kind of actual goggles. And with a limited view, right? To me, when you go from 100 to 90, it affects me just enough where it doesn't ruin the gameplay experience, but it's noticeable, right? And so, in 100 seemed like it was fine for me, and so 110 I'm going to be really happy with. Moving a little closer, going to be even happier. It's going to be fine.
Ryan, should we tell everybody that we lied to them?
Oh, sure, we can do that.
That we didn't actually have 5 facts.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
That we had 6 facts. Boom.
What's fact number 6, AJ? I don't think I'm prepared for this.
So we were looking at some things, or I was just hanging out with the cats in the Discord, as you should always join our Discord because it's the coolest place to be.
Sure.
And we were having a little bit of a discussion. Rypop noticed this. I posted a picture of the new charging dock. I don't know if you have a picture readily available. But when you look, they have actually shown a picture of the new charging dock on the website, and they've got, one of the things resting in it. They've got another controller next to it. On the charging dock, next to one of the controllers, you see a little dongle. And so it looks like the way that you're going to be charging the controllers is actually there's a little dongle that you plug into the controller into the C port, and then you rest it on the connecting part to charge them. And I just thought that was interesting because I guess I don't know about you, but for me, I have this charging station for my Move controllers, and like sometimes, like it is a freaking pain in the ass to rest them in the proper way.
Yeah.
And like sometimes my controllers don't charge when I think they are, and it is just a super pain in the ass. So it was actually kind of cool to see that. Oh, this is something you can plug it in, you can rest it, and it should be a lot more reliable and just easy to use, and also won't break.
Yeah, I will say, I was I was like, oh, here we go. Here's just more money I need to spend at launch. And I was like, oh, charging dock, whatever. But then I thought about it and I was like, man, I have had my charging dock for the PlayStation 3 Move controllers. I've got two of them. I bought one at launch, and then I bought a second one used for like $5, like way later, like once PS3 was kind of dying. And so I've actually had these charging docks for my nav controllers, my Move controllers. They're all just standing up right there, ready to go. Grab them, use them. When I'm done with them, boom, just stick them right back on there. The red light starts blinking, telling me that it's charging. It's so convenient that when I started thinking about that, and not having to worry about, finding a free USB cable to plug this in and charge it. Because I've got cables coming out of everywhere, right? This is gonna be so convenient to just have something plugged into the wall and just be able to, like, okay, here's my charging dock. And at some point, I will have two pairs of Sense controllers because a 12-hour live stream is going to require that. So and so always having a place where one set is always charging is going to be great. So I do like whatever this dongle adds to the convenience of this, to the reliability of the charging. I'm very, very happy with.
It could also backfire, and like that thing could get lost, and it could be a super pain in the ass as well. And but we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
it is what it is. It's a fact at the end of the day.
I saw
the other little.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, I saw Jeppy Condyle in the chat asking if Sony's been sending out pre-order invites yet.
Jeppy.
Listen, guys. So make sure you've gone to PlayStation.com. Make sure you signed up for the invite. It does seem like it's completely random. Some people got them on day one. Some people have gotten them sporadically over the course of the last few days.
Got his today.
That's reassuring, right? That they're still going out.
Yes. So yeah, make sure you sign up if you're interested because they are still going out. And you got to imagine there's people that are going to skip, they're going to sign up for it, but then they're going to change their mind. They're not going to have the money, whatever reason, and then they're going to, send out another wave at some point. Right,
absolutely. So, yeah, and I'll just also don't. I've seen people that seem like they're getting offended that they weren't chosen. Right, they're like, "Oh, I was the biggest supporter of PSVR 1. I have hundreds of PSVR 1 games in my library. I've owned every single PlayStation since the beginning of time." Don't be offended, right? Like it seems like it was completely random. The last I checked in with Wes, Wes hadn't gotten one. I have no idea. Like it seems like there's a long list of people who haven't gotten, so it seems A, completely random, but B, if you get the invite, it seems like you're guaranteed, unless I'm misreading this, AJ, right? I don't want to be out here spreading misinformation, but it seems like if you got an invitation, you are guaranteed a PlayStation VR2. You just have to go at any time during the 3-day pre-order event and actually complete your pre-order. And that's why not everyone has gotten one, because they want to make sure everybody who got the invite gets their guaranteed PlayStation VR 2. How crappy would it be if you got an invitation and then you went and said, sorry, sold out. You weren't the first one here, right? Or you have to keep refreshing the page. No, you just show up anytime during those 3 days and then you're able to buy one. Am I getting that right, AJ?
Yeah, it's an exclusive invite to the pre-order event, and that's what it is for sure. You are guaranteed to get it, but I mean you have to follow through with it, but you are guaranteed.
Yeah, you have to follow through with it. That's the important part. Yeah, they made it sound like, oh, put your feet up and have some coffee, order a pizza, you're fine, you don't have to worry about. Yeah, so they're removing all of the stress, but by removing all of the stress, they're stressing some people the fuck out because those people are like, am I not going to be able to get one? And so, as I said on PSVR this week, make sure you join our Discord. Again, it sounds like I'm just self-promoting here, but really, I don't make money on Discord. I pay money to keep the Discord running. It requires a lot of time and effort on my part and the moderator's part to keep it running. It's a service we have for the community. So it's not self-promotion. We're just, want to make sure that everybody has a place to hang out. And just FYI, everybody who is a member of our Discord, what in the fuck are you doing over there?
Nothing.
Come on, share it with the rest of the share it with the rest of the class. What is it?
I can't share that. I can't share that.
Is somebody sending you nudies?
No.
Oh. I said
no.
nudies. I think that's a word.
Sending me works.
So that's anyway. The reason I'm talking about Discord right now is because if you haven't gotten your invite, we're going to do our absolute best. We're going to be sharing tweets from Ario64. We're going to be keeping an eye on retailers like Amazon or Walmart, whoever else, Target, who might be going up for pre-order, and we're going to do our absolute best to get to make sure that everybody in our community has a place to order a PSVR 2 whenever they go up. We want to be the first to alert you whenever possible. If you were a member of our Discord when the PlayStation 5 launched and you wanted one and were ready, then you got one. So many people in our Discord got one at launch, got our pre-orders into Amazon because we had it first, man. That link. Everybody in our Discord got a PlayStation 5 who won one at that point where we announced the link. So be ready and be part of the Discord, and we'll do our absolute best to do the same thing this time and get the pre-order information out there. And so the last thing I want, man, is for anybody who's been waiting for this thing for 6 years to have to wait a single day longer than they have to. Everybody's wondering what you're doing.
Hey, Brian.
What?
Are you ready for PSVR 20 questions? Because it is that time, baby. Let's go. Come on down. Oh, I thought my rock music was going to continue. I like that. I like my little.
Ready?
I like my little 2000 late or early 2000s new metal background music.
That's exactly what it was. I think it was Korn. Yeah.
It kind of sounded like it was playing out of a kazoo, but it was still close.
Yes. Dude, I am so ready. I'm so ready for PSVR 20 questions. I got my notebook here so I can take notes, and I'm ready. So listen, this is how this works. AJ's the host of 20 questions today. He's got a PlayStation VR game in his head, and you guys in the chat need to help me out on this. We have 20 yes or no questions to figure out what game he's thinking of. We also only have 6 minutes, and I always find that the 6-minute timer is the hardest part of this game. So we're going to blast through the first 10 questions very, very quickly. Kazoo metal, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Off core. I think we just came up with a new genre. New genre.
I'm opening a new YouTube channel.
Amazing.
Kazoo metal.
All right, on your mark, get Des, go. Does it have? Does this game use analog sticks?
This game does use analog sticks.
Okay. Are you doing a lot of shooting in this game? Is that primary what you're doing?
I'd say you're doing a lot of shooting in this game.
Okay. Has this developer made other PSVR games?
No. Oh, wait. Yes, they have. Yes.
Okay.
They have, in fact.
Okay. Does this game have any rhythm elements?
This game does not have any rhythm elements.
Okay. Is there any spooky element to this game, whether it be a dark tone or zombies or anything like that?
Yeah, there's some spooky elements in this game for sure.
Okay, there's some spooky stuff going on. There's less shooting. Is this a does this have any multiplayer component at all?
It does have some multiplayer component at all.
Okay, is that multiplayer component co-op?
It can be.
Okay. All right, we've got a lot of information here, you guys.
Yeah.
Shapeshifter's like, it's Firewall, easy. How's Firewall spooky? That wouldn't be spooky. Okay, let's go Bambino Ramos.
I have been spooked from Firewall before. I think I turned around and someone was like right in my face.
6 minutes, AJ. 6 minutes. I'm going to go with Bambino Ramos. Let's narrow this down. Does it have aim support?
It does not have aim support.
Okay, that eliminates a lot of games I was just thinking about.
Bork point.
Let's see.
After Bork, the Borkening. I love it.
Do you have control of your movement in this game?
Until Bork Rush of Doggo. Oh, I love it. Do you have control of what? Your movement? Sorry.
Do you move your character around in this game, or?
Yes, you do move your character around.
Okay, so that eliminates Rush of Blood because you were just sitting there the whole time. God, what else?
Rush of Blood doesn't. Oh wait, Rush of Blood. I guess technically does support joystick. Well, no.
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. Do you play this game? Can you play this game with squads?
You cannot play this game with squads.
Okay.
That's number 10.
Okay, so no Alvo, you guys. Man, this is tough.
Oracles.
Was this made by Arvory?
This game was not made by Arvory.
All right, IUR's Borking was thinking Yuki, but not Arvory. Was this game made by Servios?
This game was not made by Servios.
This is a roller coaster of emotions.
I'm sorry. It's like
okay. Photonutter asks,
somebody clip that moment of excitement. Sorry, go ahead.
Can you play this on the flat screen? Asked Photonutter. Their flat screen version.
You can play this on the flat screen.
Okay. All right. Okay, I don't think you can't play Sirento on the flat screen. Killing Floor VR. Interesting. Let's go down that road a little bit. Now, Killing Floor doesn't work because I don't think it has DualShock support.
Deep Bork Galactic.
Remember, guys. Remember spooky. There's some spooky element to this.
I have seen it in the chat.
Man, I just hit a wall, I feel like. Are there zombies in this game? Regardless of what they're called?
They're not like traditional zombies, but kind of. $14.
No, Killing Floor doesn't have aim support, Mancunian. As far as I know. I can't remember. No, it doesn't.
Killing Floor does not have aim support, and this doesn't have aim support either.
Right. But it also doesn't. But it does have analog support. And I don't remember DualShock. I don't remember DualShock support in Killing Floor. Is this no crap? Is this made by Firespray? I just have to keep moving.
This is in fact made by the developers that are making Horizon Call of the Mountain.
Is this
Ooh.
Is this the Persistence?
Dude, why would you? Okay. That's not the only thing they made that's spooky, that has some spooky elements. They also made Astor's Playroom, which has a ghost game in it. But it is, in fact, the Persistence. Good job, Brian. Good job, Cats. I think I saw Awesome Tatum say it first. It is the persistence.
At the buzzer. Woof. Holy Mazzoli. Yes, he uses analog sticks as shooting. They've made other PSVR games. That was the part that threw me off because I totally forgot that they had made Astro's Playroom. Spooky. There's some multiplayer components. That's actually true.
It has somebody can play from a mobile phone and can either help you
or hinder
or mess with you.
Yeah. And now, they added flat screen support. They are kind of zombies. Not rhythm based. I take issue that it's not rhythm based. Some of us play to our own beat, AJ. Nice. A great game, and one that we fully expect there to be a PSVR 2 upgrade for, because there's already a PlayStation 5 upgrade. They keep supporting this thing. It's playable on the flat screen. First party studio now. Why wouldn't this game come to PSVR 2 with some sense control support? The best version of it yet.
The only reason would be because they're busy making Horizon Call of the Mountain and Twisted Metal and other stuff. Yeah. But they should totally do this. This game deserves a remaster. Maybe this would be, I want to see it with the Sense controllers rebuilt. But I would accept it with the DualSense controller. But nothing, not different enough.
Yeah, I don't feel as though I would get anything new out of it.
I'd rather have it with the DualSense than nothing, because then at least other people get to play it. But DualSense remake is really how this should go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's great that it already has. When you play this on PlayStation VR 1, you can use the DualSense, and so they can just port that aspect over. But so allowing people to also use the Sense controllers would be great. Give you a reason to replay it with a whole different feeling. The weapon that allows you to kind of like throw the enemies around the room was great, but you had to do it with your head, and so it always felt really strange. Like, this is so cool, but my neck hurts. What are we doing this? I just get dizzy doing that. So yeah, being able to do that with your hand and be like, look at me, I'm a fucking wizard. Be pretty fucking cool.
I love the persistence, man. I love it.
Me too, man. Me too. And they were super nice to me too. I remember back, I begged them. I was like really bugged them for like a month, being like, "Hey, we'd love to do something really special and without Parole and blah 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 blah." And it was like hours before launch when they were finally like, "Hey, if you're still down." And I was like, "Oh, cool, yes, like let's play it leading up to launch." I was like, that was fucking very last minute, but very cool.
What's even better is I can confirm that they still are extremely nice and great people.
That's really good to hear.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Listen, thank you so much for hanging out with us and having fun talking about PSVR 2 on this, this beautiful Monday. Beautiful Monday. I don't know what's going on.
It's dark outside now. Did you change your clocks?
No, I don't change clocks, man. Like the only clocks I have are my phone and my Echo Show, and those just change automatically, dude.
I know. I realized I had like a contrast of technology in my household, because like half of it changed automatically and the other half I had to do it manually. I was like, wow, I haven't had to manually change a clock in a long time.
AJ staring at his grandfather clock being like, update.
Where do I plug in the USB drive?
This is ridiculous. Why isn't this forwards compatible? All right, you guys, let's get out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody. Thank you all for all the generous tips during the show. Thank you all for helping me out during PSVR 20 questions. Again, the moderators doing God's work out there. We love you so very much. You make my life so much better every single day. Jamie out for getting this up on podcast services of your choice. If you don't want to sit here and watch us for 2 hours, we fucking get it. Go listen to us for 2 hours on your drive to work, or on your drive back, or on your drive back the next day. Who knows, man? You got plenty of time to fill. Let's do it up. Also, Sci-Fi Gamecat Henry puts timestamps into this thing after the fact. Don't forget to subscribe to AJ's channel at PSVR Underground. The link for that is in the description below. And, of course, support the Mowvember cause that serial killers doing a great job supporting. Men's health issues, suicide prevention, the whole deal. Let's do some. Let's give something back this month. I'm tired, man. I'm tired. Coffee's not working today. Thanks everybody who hung out. Thanks everybody who tipped. Thanks everybody who helped me out. And thanks, of course, to everybody who sat back and watched the show. Didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there. We love you too, just as much. AJ, it's Monday. Can I cue the cat?
Cue the motherfucking cat, Brian, because I want to see you guys on Wednesday to Great Tantrum. JB, long time dude. Still an OG, still around. Good to see you, homie. Your secrets will always be safe with me. Or seek the game cat. All you are is Borkin. I love it. Shapeshifter, the Animorph Game Cat. Later to you as well. Vargosoft, goodbye. Hasid Mears says, nice shirt, AJ. Patreon.com. No. Streamlabs.com/PSVR Underground. You can get one too, Hasid. Or just, hit me up. I'll send you one. Steve IRE says, cue the Bork. Gamecat Photo Nutter, my favorite name of all time. Says, was at least 6 months ago. I guess that was a guess, maybe. Ian Stanbridge. Keep moving. Bambino Ramos says 2-hour shows are the best. Yes, even against my will, I must agree. Your Long Shadows in the House Night says, yeah, getting real Bork out. Night all. Yeah, good Bork. Brax Bro says there should be a smart grandfather clock. I'm going to invest in that idea. I think it'll pan out for you really well, Brax Bro. Mike Kelly, thank you so much. Jeppy, local homegrown game cat. Goodness in the house tonight. Just like Bork Angel 3. Thank you so much. Cheers to you as well. Mancunian Game Cat, Shades of Gray Matter. Thank you so much, man. Mark Smith, good to see you. The Game Cat's out of the glue bagger, Brian. The Game Cat's out of the glue bagger. What are you going to do?
Put him back in the glue bagger.
Crow Alex, thank you so much, man. RG, good to see you. Serial Killer, The Stash in the Flash, Game Cat. Guys, Dead Ringer, I see you, man. All y'all, thank you so much. 12, the backlogged Game Cat. All you guys have a wonderful night. Ian Stanbridge, you especially. Dan Kiefer, you especially. B. Tribble. Bork to Bork.
Ooh, pork chop sandwiches. That sounds delicious.
Pork chop sandwiches. Get the fuck off my lawn.
I don't even know what we're doing anymore.
I don't either.
Right.
Bye, Hector Robles. Saying bye to Hector Robles.
Dan Kiefer's still mad that that the chat's on slow mode.
I'm still hearing about that a lot as well.
Well,
maybe
apparently they're just telling you because no one's saying a word to me. So sorry, guys. If you don't go to the source, then your complaints will not be heard.
I know of people that are actually not watching anymore because they can't chat and have conversations with the cats.
Because they have too many thoughts in 30 seconds. You know, of people who aren't watching anymore, man, the people who message you, AJ, are so full of shit. I guess that's why they're not messaging me. Because they know I'll see through that nonsense. Hey.
Well, I tried.
You tried.
Sorry, guys.
You failed. Hey,
tried.
Listen, if no one's telling me, then I don't fucking believe it. So, people weren't watching it. Just to clarify, guys, people weren't watching anymore because some people in the chat were dominating it with negativity and pessimism and pissing people off, and they would just spam. And that was actually bothering people far more than not being able to type as frequently as they wanted to. And so we had to kind of put an end to that. And because that's not what we're about in this community. We're not about negativity. We're not about just being pissed off all the fucking time. We're about bringing as much positive energy as possible. And when one person can actually bring down a show that we're doing, well, then we're doing something wrong. And so
we're all about. Oh, sorry.
Right.
I thought you were done.
So the slow mode is down to 30 seconds. And I don't know. I don't know if that's a problem or not, but if it is, let me know. You know where to find me, man. I'm on Discord like all the time, and I'm always open to suggestions. So thank you very much. What are you going to yell, AJ?
I said we're all about that sex, drugs, and VR, baby.
Red, you're the one we're talking about, Red. You're the one we're talking about. He's like, I hate 30-second chat. Well, luckily for you, and luckily for us, you're the one we're talking about. No, you're not the one we're talking about. But yeah, you're pretty fucking negative. Good night, everybody.